Howdy, y'all. For those I don't know, I'm Paul Kostial. We are going to chat about We Love Arabian Horses for just a moment. A lot of y'all are asking a lot of questions. You want no input and update on what's going on. We've got so much going on. It's a little hard to keep everybody updated on everything. So keep in mind, when you're thinking about all this and how we're weaving this community together, every single human being these days, because of this weird world we live in, has a different way that they communicate. Some people like texting, and some people like email, and some people like websites, and some people like social media, and some people like none of that. So you really got to have a network of mechanisms that's producing the same message in a lot of different places for a lot of people to make sure you get your full audience. You're going to see that as it weaves together for all of us. And now that we're incorporating more from different organizations, say inside of our social feed, and different clubs we're working with, and the regions and farms. So the aspect of that is going to continue to be filtered in such a way that it really produces a nice channel of great information for people to either get involved with Arabians, to find us, find a way that we can mentor them into a place to get started, right? Or those of y'all that are in the community that help produce the comments and the topics and the podcasts and the articles that we share then to bring in the community from the outside. And it's working. You just don't see it always. It's not always exactly apparent, but in my view, I get to see everything and how everything trickles in. And it's a pretty amazing structure. And you're going to see more of that as we go. So a couple things. One, you should see my garage. Oh my God. It's like a shipping station. And it's, as soon as I get it kind of organized better, I'm going to take a picture of it for y'all, because it is like We Love Arabian Horses Central Shipping, and we have produced kind of a bigger mountain than we even realized. So that's the good news. We've got a lot going on. I mean, there are a lot of people involved. We've got people from other countries involved, essentially all over the world in one way or another, all participating, some more than others. Some haven't even heard about it yet. But the aspect of what we're doing really started in the USA, obviously. So we have our strongest base here, but we're working with Australian folks, and we're working with the Canadians a lot. We've started integrating some with some of the European folks and some in Brazil as well. We're looking for ways that we can continue to make platforms that work in one area of the world, and maybe they will work in other areas of the world. So that brings me up to the contest, for example. And one reason my garage is so full of stuff is we have prizes, we have stuff people can buy, and stuff we ship, like they can order flyers and wristbands and stickers. And got to keep in mind, all of that stuff have to stay in stock too, right? And then I'm a one-man show here at the home office central so far, and I'm going to try to find someone to help me here, maybe a part-time person to come help me with the shipping, because one week, for example, we sent out almost 50 packets of stuff, people that were ordering cookbooks or stuff for their events or shows or their local fun day, right? So there was a lot of stuff. So that's great news. And it's really what we wanted to create. And the contest, as that example, is one of our leading programs. So from last year, to this year, we tripled our number of contestants. We more than doubled what we call our activation rate, meaning people that are actually doing the contest and submitting points. And we had a few that we had to work through, like little technical issues. Sometimes phones don't work quite so well, or other technical devices. But once we got those things worked out with each one of those, at least that we knew about, it was easy, right? So that's the process: is have fun, create the community that can share together and have some fun earning points to win prizes, to promote Arabian horses, right? So as we continue growing that program, I mean, my big goal is to have 1,000 ambassadors. I mean, just think about that. What if we had 1,000 ambassadors and each of them were doing an average of 5 outreach events themselves? That's 5,000 outreach events that we just created. So the scale of this is significant. And some of those ambassadors, just so you know, I mean, they did like 20 and 30. So some of them were small, like social media outreach, and some of them were big, like going to the Tractor Supply, but it was all for the goal of just getting people locally to touch the Arabian horse. Then once you get them to touch the horse, you got to have a way to bring them in. So once you say hello and they like the horse, oh, well, here's how you can get involved. So you can either help them by introducing them into your local community, your local Arabian horse club, or a local farm, or a local lesson program. Kind of depends on what they want, right? Or you could introduce them into the We Love Arabian Horses platform called the Newcomer Welcome, and they will then flow into Debbie Kane, who will then help to understand what it is they want to do and help them get connected to an Arabian horse, right? So there's kind of your global structure versus your local structure. That's what we are. I mean, the whole thing is a virtual community, but we're putting that in place in a local area, right? So we're working together virtually to then put all these little pieces together. To me, it's kind of like a lot of little Keystone events all over everywhere. We are putting teams in Scottsdale, in Dallas, Fort Worth, and Ocala. What that means is we're going to have a team of, say, 3 to 5, 6 people, and they can kind of help us with the events that are there, meaning we can have them kind of pre-stocked with the banners and the other stuff that they need, and we don't have to ship it back and forth all the time. So if you're interested in maybe being on that local team in Scottsdale, DFW, or Ocala, let me know, and we're going to have a little powwow at some point, continue getting them organized. We will do that in other pockets over time, but those were the first three that we've identified to get started with. The other day, Ted Carson called me. He said, Paul, I want you to hear this. This is kind of unbelievable. And I'm like, oh my God, what happened? And he's like, no, apparently he's been working with her and she is a fanatic about our podcast. She listens to every one. And somehow because of the podcast, she has gotten herself back involved with Arabian horses, and he is working with her to get her situated. And he said, listen, I mean, this is kind of crazy. So she went on and on about how she loved those podcasts. Well, that's exactly the way it all works. Some of this content is built for inside the community, and some of the content's built for outside the community, and none of the content for either is going to upset the other, right? So we have our private Facebook page called We Love Arabian Horses Ambassadors. That's where we have our private conversation, and that's where you're going to get videos like this, where we can talk internally without our friends all seeing everyone arguing, right? So we can communicate here inside a private group, but externally, folks inside and outside the community can see anything, and it is going to be appealing to them. Some of it's built more for one than the other, and vice versa. There's a strategy to this, and it's not necessarily apparent unless you're maybe in my situation where I get to see it all and all the pieces. So many of y'all are participating. It's great. Our three biggest things that we do is the contest, the podcast, and then our resources and support for clubs and farms, right? So we've done quite a bit of work with farms, helping them host events and helping events get off the ground so more of them can happen, both in the USA and globally. And then we're also doing that for clubs. Like, what do you need us to help you with? If you had a wish list of what you needed, what is it on that list that we can help you have, right? Whether we can get it for free or we can assist with manpower or ambassadors or ideas, right? I've had the conversations, probably 20 or 30 club presidents who call me up and say, hey, can you help us? So we're going to continue building that platform and make that a greater resource. And the same thing is for clubs and farms. I mean, they're both essentially the same thing. One just is a business base and the others are nonprofit based, but either one of them doing the same thing in their local area or for their customers, wherever their customers are coming from. And we have 25 resource platforms, at least maybe more, that are all beginning to build and grow. Some of them are bigger than others, like Facebook is obviously a big one for us, but others we've been slowly in the background building a little bit more on TikTok and a little bit more on LinkedIn, and those will continue to grow as we have more manpower. So a couple extra little announcements. We're getting ready to announce what we call our primetime players, which is the 50 plus ambassadors, right? A lot of you are at home. You don't necessarily involve yourself as much in your local club, or you are at home and you're available online through your phone or laptop to be involved. There's things you can do virtually, working right from your home. So it's the 50 plus crowd called Prime Time. Our ambassadors contest winners number one will be announced here in the next week. Major players who got a lot of points, and we're going to announce the top 10 and the champion and the reserve. So watch for that. Our contest number two is August and September. And don't forget, points that anyone gets in the contest during the whole year count for the year-end award. So if you want to get involved, there's still plenty of prizes to be won, and you can join. It's $29. You get a nice little packet in the mail. You get your pin or your pendant and some fun little gifts, and we love having people involved. Each one person more produces another one, right? So that's how we grow. It's called scaling in the business and marketing world, and we're scaling. Right? Again, we're getting from here to 1,000 at some point. We've attended so far, I think it's 5 or 6 of the regional shows. Each one of them has been fantastic. We're going to have some observations on those, things we learned out here in the next few weeks, really give some people some thoughts about how we can make our community as a whole work better to welcome those newcomers. 1, get them there. And then 2, once they get there, what are you going to do with them? And 3, are they just going to stand around looking at each other, wondering what the hell's going on? Or are we going to actually have someone walk over to them, maybe with one of our nice little ambassador vests, and say, hello, welcome. We'd love to show you the horse show. And this is what happens in a Western class, right? So those kind of things are going to be very, very helpful as we continue to communicate. I mean, our big goal is just to help all of us and others be better at outreach and marketing. We just are trying to increase the volume and the quantity of marketing, outreach events, promotion, pick your word, whether it's going to the local Tractor Supply or taking your friends to the regional show or flying out for a fun weekend at the Arabian Breeders' World Cup, or maybe go to Canada for their national championship and just enjoy it. Whether you take your horse or not, it's supplying an increase in volume, and you might take your friends with you. that maybe don't have an Arabian horse. If you have anything on the website you want to buy, we got cookbooks. We've got the We Love Arabian Horses Friends, which you get that really nice pin or pendant, your choice. We got information for sponsors. We've got corporate partners. We've got all kinds of other partners that are those that we partner with in a conversational relationship to help increase the volume with more communities around the world. So that's it. If you have any questions, please let me know. It's really easier if you send me questions, DM through Facebook. If you don't have my phone number, it's hard to keep up with all the questions necessarily in all the individual posts. I mean, if that post is about that topic and it's in there, that's great. But when these random ones that come in from all over everywhere, it's really hard to keep up with them. So if you want something followed up on, help us by getting the message directly to, myself or maybe the leader that's involved in that area of We Love Arabian Horses. That's it for now. We appreciate everything you're doing, and we'll come back to you with more updates as we go. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.